Rivals has arrived, and now it's time to go to the worst calls in, I guess, sports. Probably going to be football history, but I'm here with my guest co-host, Alex Curie, who actually co-hosts with me on KSL's on Rivals on KSL TV.
Did you?
Did I what? We kind of had a very similar memo, didn't we?
Did your wife call my wife and tell? Because my wife dresses me.
Does your wife dress you?
No.
I got dressed telepathically. I was like, I wonder what Alex is going to wear today.
We do this sometimes with the pink shirt too.
I know, it's kind of the salmon shirt. All right, so tell me what, because this is a frustrating thing as a sports fan.
Yeah.
And there are some plays where you just go, it's not fair that the official came in and wrecked the game and wrecked your life and wrecked your weekend. And you're like, why can that person not get it right? Now, they've made measures to try to minimize that, but still there's that human error and sometimes I think human bias.
So we're talking worst officiating calls in the history?
Worst officiating calls. I'll help you out. Here's one for me. Okay, the Pittsburgh Steelers played the Houston Oilers in the 1978 AFC Championship game. Mm-hmm. And early in the game, there was a call that went against the Houston Oilers. Dan Pastorini threw what seemed like a touchdown pass to Mel Renfro, who clearly was inbound. They showed it in replay. He was clearly inbound.
And they called him out?
And they called him out. Because it's one of those quick bang kind of plays.
And we didn't have replay back then.
No replay back then. That play would have changed the tide. The Houston Oilers would have gone to the Super Bowl. And as a kid, that was my favorite team. And my dad said, if they go to the Super Bowl, we're going. And so I got gypped out of a Super Bowl trip when I was a little kid.
That's tough to swallow.
Yeah, that was a hard one for me.
You want me to give you mine?
I do.
Mine was also had to do with a team that I was rooting for, although I was on the other side of it. I was the beneficiary. of a terrible call.
And you let it happen?
I watched it happen on live television.
Okay, so you weren't in the game.
No, I was a beneficiary as a fan.
Yeah, I got
it. It was good for me because it happened for the benefit of my team. That being said, when we all watched it, we knew that it was a terrible call.
But no one said anything.
Well, we were just like, oh.
Well, I got to hear, what is it? Come on.
It's the 2012 opening game.
I know what one it is.
It's the Seahawks versus the Green Bay Packers, and it is when Russell Wilson throws basically a Hail Mary pass to Golden Tate at the end of regulation.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll also recall, the refs were on strike, so you had this kind of rent-a-ref situation.
You had scab refs.
You had scab refs.
Yes.
Bless their hearts. This guy, I think the highest level that he had coached was at a high school level, and this poor soul who basically made one of the worst decisions of his life because it ended up being such a bad call. So the Hail Mary is thrown into the end zone. If you ever watched this play, it was thrown into the end zone, and they came down, and you can look at it and try to convince yourself that there was like this sort of joint possession situation,
right.
And it really wasn't. It was, I think it was Clinton Dix maybe, or one of the DBs for Green Bay absolutely comes down like this, and Golden Tate just kind of has his hands just kind of giving it like a hug as they're going down, like he doesn't really have it, and they're down at the bottom, and so the two refs look at each other and they converge, and one of them. And they're both looking at each other, and I think they thought to themselves that they had the same thought in mind, which is, yes. And if you watch the video, they think to themselves, okay, we're going to call it dead here, and then we're going to figure this thing out. If we call it incomplete, or if we call it an interception, which is what it looked like, then they wouldn't be able to overturn that, certainly. But what ended up happening was when they looked at each other, one ref starts to go up like this to do the like, okay, they're calling this play dead here, and we're going to try to kind of talk about it. But as soon as he started to put his hands up, the replacement ref put his hands up for a touchdown. Then you have a call, and then you have to disprove that call. So instead of just like going and then like conferring and trying to figure it out, he made the call as a touchdown, and then they didn't have enough video evidence to overturn it. And it ruined the Green Bay Packers.
I know, that was a
start of that
play.
season. It was a hilarious thing, but as a fan, I was like, it was one of those things where we're looking around like, did anybody else see this? We just won the game.
All right, so that reminds me of one that I actually had when I was playing in Detroit. Thanksgiving game against the Pittsburgh Steelers, very famous, and it didn't happen. It wasn't a play that happened in the game. It was the overtime call by the official about who won the coin toss. So
right.
the Steelers, because they were the visiting team, got to call.
Did the coin land like this?
No, what happened is he says, call it in the air, so he flips it up in the air, and you can see Jerome Bettis saying heads. And so the coin lands on the ground. He picks it up. He goes, "Okay, it's a heads. You said tails, Detroit." And they're all, and you can see that he just totally messed up. And it's one of those really infamous. So we got the ball,
and what do you do
we
as a-
score first, and we win. And the Steelers are like,
This is a classic moment in sports too, because we do this as fans where we go, "Hey, he made the call."
Yeah.
Like, hey, the
Right,
referee made the call. You don't want to go. Now he did say tails. It's like he made the call. He's the ref. I don't have any say in
those
this.
things just happen.
I'm just
It
gonna
just-
have to
just
do it.
is
We're
the
just
way
gonna have to
it
go
is.
along with
Yeah.
it.
All right, Rivals has arrived, and now it's time to go. Please share your stories with us of your worst calls of all time. You can do it on all of our social sites. Text us to 65537. And also, if you're smart, dial us in on your smartphone. Until then, we'll catch you soon. Thank you so much for joining us, Alex.
You bet.
The worst call was wearing the same clothes.